you to the Senate Higher Education Committee meeting. I want to call on Chairman Payne to have the invocation. Chairman Payne.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord, just thank you for all the many blessings in our lives. Lord, we take none for granted, not even the breath of life. Lord, we just thank you for all the ways that you allow us to serve and that we'd serve you and the people of our state well. We just ask you to give us a clear mind and eye of discernment and help us to make the best decisions for the people of our state. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, on our order of business today, I think it's in your file in this order. We're going to have take back up Senate Bill 7 for presentation. We have Central Beach with us, obviously, and we're going to have Chancellor Wrigley, President Moorhead, President Cabrera, President Brooks Kill, President Mark Becker, in that order. Senator Beach, would you like to have any comments prior to the testimony we're taking?
No, sir. I gave a small presentation last meeting, so I'd like to get on and hear from the presidents.
All right. With no further delay, we'll have Chancellor Steve Wrigley of the university system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Good afternoon to you. Appreciate the opportunity to appear before you. First, let me say thank you to you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee and members of the Senate for the support of a number of our items, particularly the 21 amended budget. We don't take that for granted and really do appreciate that support. I'm not going to have a lot to say right now. I do want us to get to the testimony of the presidents that you've asked to appear. I think you'll hear from them some of the same points that you've heard before, and they've also refined some of that and taken some steps. So I'd like to, if we could just let them go ahead and make their presentation, and then I'll be glad, of course they'll be glad, Mr. Chairman and Central Beach and other members of the committee to answer any questions that you have.
Okay. How is the volume in here? Can everyone hear?
Pretty low.
It's pretty low to me. Can we get the volume up just a little bit?
We can hear you all fine.
Oh, that's much better.
That's much better now.
Right. Is that good?
Yes, sir. Do we have any?
All right.
Do we have any questions for Chancellor Wrigley while he's still up? Hearing none. Appreciate it, Chancellor. Always great to work with you. I know you're looking forward to your retirement. We hate to see you go, but we know you're going to enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll be on throughout the hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you so much. President Moorhead, University of Georgia.
Chairman Tippins and members of the Senate Higher Education Committee, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you again today. On behalf of the University of Georgia, let me first express my sincere gratitude for your longstanding support of public higher education. Although the pandemic has brought with it challenging times, you continue to prioritize higher education, and I am very grateful for your support. I am appearing before you today to speak about Senate Bill 7, the proposed legislation that would require public research institutions in the university system of Georgia to make 90% of our early action offers to in-state students. I hope my testimony last year made one overriding impression on this committee. UGA has and always will be committed to serving the people of Georgia and its students. Similar to my appearance before this committee last year, I aim to demonstrate 4 key points. One, that this bill is unnecessary because the University of Georgia already enrolls a very high percentage of Georgia residents. 2, that its passage would have the unintended effect of harming our ability to enroll a student body that reflects all geographical areas of this great state, particularly hurting rural students. 3, that the much smaller number of exemplary out-of-state students that we enroll add significant value to UGA and to the state of Georgia as a whole. And 4, that the introduction of Senate Bill 7 would have a negative financial impact on our ability to continue to provide a world-class education that is accessible to Georgia students. First, let's consider the actual numbers, which I believe are critical to understanding our position related to this bill. At the University of Georgia, 88% of our undergraduate students are Georgia residents. 88%. That's far above the rate of many other major state flagships around us. The slide that I believe is before you from Mr. Thomas shows you the numbers at several schools, and I will call a few to your attention. The University of Alabama, only 41% in-state. The University of Mississippi, only 55% in-state. Auburn University, only 61% in-state. The University of Virginia, only 70% in-state. 85% of the students in the fall 2020 UGA freshman class were Georgia residents. This number is consistent with our typical enrollment every year, which is always well above 80%. The students admitted during early action represent just one group of students that are admitted to the University of Georgia. A student who is admitted via early action is notified in November. That decision is not binding, and many of the academically superior students, both in-state and out of state, who are accepted at this stage ultimately choose to go somewhere else. These students are so strong academically that they have many, many choices. And typically the number of out-of-state students that apply use the common application to apply to many other institutions. So please note that we cannot control who applies to UGA. And this year, approximately 51% of the early action applications were from Georgia residents. In recruiting this year's class, 59% of our early action offers were extended to in-state students, much higher than the applicant pool overall, and clearly favoring Georgia residents. About half of those who were deferred were in-state students. In many cases, those students barely missed the mark. And that is hard news to accept. It can be heartbreaking, and I certainly understand that. But early action is based solely on a student's academic record. Regardless of exactly where we stop offering admission for early action and begin the deferral process, there will always be students that barely miss the mark. I also want to be clear that a deferred student does not mean a denial. Deferred students are deemed academically competitive, and they are then reviewed and read in our regular decision process. The deadline for applications to this phase of the admission cycle is January 1. We must be careful not to over-award acceptances to the early action pool of applicants because we have no way to know how many students will apply by the regular decision deadline. And it is in the regular decision where a more holistic review of the candidate occurs, not just the numbers, but a review of the complete file, including the student's entire record of leadership, service, extracurricular accomplishments, and letters of recommendation that they may submit. This review is extraordinarily important to our efforts to enroll a class that represents all of the state of Georgia. Let me demonstrate this point. If, as Senate Bill 7 stipulates, we are mandated to extend early action offers to 90% in-state applicants, our overall enrollment would move in the direction of this map, which shows our offers of admission to early applicants for the fall 2020 freshman class. This would certainly benefit some districts, particularly urban ones, but it would disenfranchise others, most notably South Georgia and rural Georgia. That's because in the holistic review process of regular decision, our readers in the admissions office are instructed to give extra consideration to in-state students. And importantly, applications for regular decision come from across the state in a more distributed manner than early action applications, which tend to be very concentrated to urbanized areas. I think it's helpful to restate at this point that we do not control where applications come from, nor do we control which process, early action or regular decision, our applicants select. Now let's demonstrate how the map evolves after the regular decision process has been completed and added to the early action acceptances. You'll see that it is dramatically different, as all of Georgia is now much more fully represented. As this map illustrates, damage to our representation across Georgia could be an unintended but very real and very detrimental impact of Senate Bill 7 if we must accept a much higher percent of in-state students in early action. As I mentioned a moment ago, students from rural areas typically do not apply for early action at the rate of those in urban areas. I have said that the University of Georgia is and forever will be Georgia's university. And I mean that. I believe we have a special obligation as the land-grant research institution to serve all of the state of Georgia. There seems to be a misconception that we have a brain drain of applicants who leave the state if they receive a deferral during early action at UGA. While I'm sure we can all point to some individual cases of students accepting attractive out-of-state offers, the data does not support this view. First, many students deferred in early action gain admittance during regular decision. Additionally, only 30% of those who were deferred in 2019, the most recent data available, chose to go to institutions outside of the state of Georgia. The rest remained in the state of Georgia. Even those who were denied by the University of Georgia did not flock to schools in neighboring states. Nearly 70% chose to stay right here in Georgia in 2019. The topmost 5 attended institutions of denied applicants to UGA are other university system colleges and universities. Not one out-of-state institution was among this group in the past 2 years. In fact, the most popular in-state institution received 13% of our denied students. I would argue that this is healthy for our state system of higher education. Many of the students we deny end up at other outstanding USG institutions. And I would point out that admission to the freshman class is not the only way to attend the University of Georgia. 30% of UGA graduates come to us as transfer students once they have completed a successful year or two at another institution, typically another USG institution. This map is helpful to see the areas around the state as we incorporate our transfer admissions along with early action and regular decision. In the transfer process, we attract students from all over the state. Attending another in-state institution immediately after high school can be a better fit for a student for a variety of reasons, and we are pleased to offer the transfer option as a pathway to earning a University of Georgia degree. When you see the map of our overall undergraduate population, you see a map that truly covers the state of Georgia. As you review this map, I would also like to note that our enrollment reflects the considerable population growth that our state has experienced over the past 4 decades. Since 1980, the state's population has increased by 94%. In that same time, the University of Georgia's undergraduate enrollment has increased by the same percentage, 94%. We grew from 15,313 undergraduate students then to 29,675 enrolled at UGA today. While we discuss the university's commitment to Georgia residents, I also would like to recognize the value of welcoming a limited number of out-of-state students to UGA. And I think it would be important for us to consider the impact that they can make. These out-of-state students are often among the very best students. For example, the 2 most prestigious awards for academic excellence in higher education are the Rhodes and Marshall Awards. 2 out of our last 3 most recent winners have come from out of state. As I discussed last year, out-of-state students have made important contributions to UGA, and they have gone on to do great things. Many of them have remained in Georgia, serving our state and nation, leading in the fields of rural health care and contributing to our state's #1 industry, agriculture. One aspect of this institution beloved by so many in our state is UGA football. As we all discuss this legislation, I would encourage you to consider Coach Smart's football team, which includes some of the very best recruits from around the country. Nearly 40% of the team members are from out of state, and 8 of the 20 new recruits Coach Smart just signed for this year are non-residents. If you're looking to excel nationally, you don't limit all recruiting within the borders of the state. You look across the nation for top talent. Great students from Georgia and elsewhere are largely responsible for our strong national rankings. UGA has been ranked by U.S. News for the past 5 years in the top 20 public research institutions in the nation. Only the University of Florida shares that distinction in the SEC. Out-of-state students enhance the quality of the academic environment and the overall experience for all of our students. I believe they even encourage the best and brightest to remain in state and attend the University of Georgia or Georgia Tech. Many of them, I might add, end up doing great things for the state of Georgia. I would also note that the reduction in the number of these non-resident students would have a twofold financial impact on us. It would reduce tuition revenues received by UGA by $5.1 million in the first year and by a cumulative total of $40 million after 4 years. I think it's helpful to restate at this point our commitment to in-state students, which is reflected in the fact that nearly 90% of our undergraduates are Georgia residents. And we are committed to providing a world-class education at a great value, which is demonstrated by our rankings. Number 15th best public research university in the nation, and number 16 best value in higher education. However, there would be no way to avoid significant negative impacts to the quality of education we offer if we are forced to reduce our current resources by the amounts dictated by Senate Bill 7. Competition for the best students is already fierce, and this legislation would make it even harder to compete and keep our best and brightest Georgia students in state for a superior education. In closing, I hope you will agree with me that admissions decisions at UGA have led to great results for our university and for our state. We already meet the larger objective of the proposed bill, since 85% of our freshmen and nearly 90% of our undergraduate students are from the state of Georgia. When we place the early admissions map side by side with the total enrollment map for our undergraduate student body, the impact on our ability to enroll a class that reflects all of Georgia is crystal clear. Our current approach to admissions rewards scholarship and serves the entire state of Georgia effectively as both a world-class and accessible institution of higher learning. I thank you for your time, and again, appreciate all the support that you provide our institution and higher education.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Chairman, President Moorhead. I appreciate your comments. Do we have any questions from the committee? Hearing none, we will next move to President Cabrera from Georgia Tech. I would say that many of the comments that President Moorhead has made applies to many of our institutions. So I would ask, in the interest of time, that the other presidents, if it's not redundant from, or if it is redundant from what's already been said, I think the characteristics of research institutions are much different than other colleges in the university system. So I would call on President Cabrera now at this time to give the perspective from Georgia Tech.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chairman Tippins and Vice Chairman Strickland and all the members of the committee. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to join you to discuss this Senate Bill 7. It is a pleasure to come before you all again today. And while I see a couple of new faces on the committee, I believe many of you will recall my remarks from just over a year ago regarding the enviable position of higher education in the state. Georgia's university system, as my colleague Jerry Moorhead said, is a testament to the efforts and investments of the General Assembly, Governor's Office, and the Board of Regents over many, many decades to create a higher education ecosystem that not only challenges our students to reach new heights and achievements, but also serves our state as a catalyst, which is very important for economic development and innovation. Georgia Tech and our 25 sister institutions are proud partners in making Georgia the best place in the nation to live, work, and raise a family. As president of Georgia Tech, I recognize, in fact, I repeat to my colleagues every chance I have, that serving our state and its citizens is our primary responsibility. Whether through the cutting edge research and development, GTRI, or the COVID-19 testing program in which many of you are participating this session, the Institute's motto is progress and service, and that's never far of our mind. We never lose sight of the fact that we're a public university with a responsibility to educate the students who call Georgia home. I'm going to outline just a number of ways in which our admissions process prioritizes Georgia residents and provide Georgia residents with unique opportunities to study at Georgia Tech. But also, I'll highlight how our admission system is critical for the economic development needs of the state. My most important message to you today is how Georgia Tech's admission process intentionally and significantly prioritizes in-state students. When two similar applicants, one from Georgia, the other one from out of state, apply to Georgia Tech, the probability of being admitted is much higher for the Georgia resident. Our commitment to Georgia students is not new, and we keep updating our processes to put hardworking Georgia students first. This very year, and in part because of the feedback we got from you last year, we have created a dedicated early action round solely for Georgia students. This new admission round focuses on Georgia resident applicants only and offers them an earlier decision than all the other early action applicants. Georgia residents, in fact, they receive their decision in December, while the out-of-state applicants must wait until January. This new early action round builds on decades of efforts by Georgia Tech to encourage more in-state students to apply and make the dream of a Georgia Tech degree more accessible. So in addition to first-year admissions, Georgia Tech maintains one of the most robust transfer programs in our state. Last year, over 1,100 transfer students enrolled, which was a record. And this year, we're on our way to posting another record. We're proud to offer 8 unique transfer pathways to Georgia residents. These center around first-generation college students, veterans, future engineers, and others. Last year, 76% of those students who transferred in were in-state students. In addition, we boast numerous Georgia-specific admissions programs that seek to strengthen our connections with communities from Blairsville to Blackshear. These include the Georgia Tech Scholars Program for valedictorians and salutatorians, the Missing Counties Initiative to recruit students from counties where we have traditionally received few applicants, and the Peach State Tour, where our admissions counselors travel the state with UGA and Georgia State. Beyond these initiatives, we also continually work to improve accessibility and affordability at Georgia Tech. We recently launched a new strategic plan. One of the 6 themes of the plan, which is our guide for the next decade, is expanding access. We are committed to empowering people of all backgrounds and stages of life to learn and contribute to technological and human progress. And among the numerous tactics we've outlined in this plan, we've called our Partnering with Public Schools in Atlanta and throughout Georgia to inspire underrepresented minority and low-income students to pursue learning and career pathways in science and technology. In addition to our institute-specific efforts to reduce cost and increase efficiencies, I am very proud to tell you that during the 2019-2020 academic year, 3,352 undergraduate students received more than $23 million in scholarship and grant assistance from either Institute and Georgia Tech Foundation, endowed and non-endowed sources. So at the center of each of these efforts is our commitment to bettering the state and the people in the state. And these results, the results of these programs speak for themselves. For the 2021 undergraduate early action cycle, Georgia Tech admitted 15% more Georgia students compared to last year. Very importantly, 90% of Georgia students were offered either first-year admission or a guaranteed transfer pathway, or were deferred to regular decision. When you consider that the early action admit rate for Georgians is between 2 and 3 times higher compared to their out-of-state counterparts, I believe it is apparent where the priorities of our admissions process are. And while admissions to Georgia Tech is competitive for both in-state and out-of-state students, it is also important to remember that the vast majority of Georgia students who apply to Georgia Tech end up staying in Georgia, one way or another, as President Moorhead explained. For example, 3 of every 4 in-state applicants to Georgia Tech in 2020 ended up at Georgia Tech or another Georgia college. And of the in-state students we admitted who chose to attend somewhere else, to a different state, the top 5 schools they chose was Vanderbilt, MIT, Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. Beyond demonstrating that our best and brightest Georgia students are already staying in Georgia, these numbers also speak to the impact of these students on the broader health of the university system as a whole. These students help support the continued success of our regional colleges and universities that play a vital role in the economic vitality of communities from Valdosta to Statesboro to Gainesville. And I understand and respect that the intent of Senate Bill 7 is to protect and promote Georgia students. However, as I have just outlined, I would argue that such mandates are unnecessary and are likely to produce more unintended damage than benefit. In Georgia Tech, each of you has a partner dedicated to helping keep our state's best and brightest right where they belong, right here in Georgia. Furthermore, you have a partner committed to the long-term economic success of our state. And I strongly believe this legislation would inhibit Georgia Tech's work to transform Atlanta and Georgia into a hub of technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation. As I mentioned last year, in the knowledge economy of the 21st century, research universities serve as a magnet for business investment and job creation because they are our main sources of top-tier talent. In Georgia Tech and the University of Georgia, our state is blessed with 2 top 15 public research institutions. Without a doubt, I can assure you that this distinction has enabled Georgia to remain the best state in the nation in which to do business for the past 7 years, and will continue to serve as a pillar of our state's economic development strategy. During my time as president, I have consistently heard from CEOs who chose to move their headquarters to Tech Square or to expand their presence in Georgia. The key driver of their decision in every single case was the ability to access the extraordinary talent coming out of Georgia Tech and the other leading universities in our state. Atlanta's 1.2 square mile Midtown district now hosts more than 65,000 jobs, corporate headquarters for 3 Fortune 1000 companies, including Norfolk Southern, NCR, Turner Broadcasting, and 21 corporate innovation centers and dozens of startups. It contributes more than $19 billion in annual economic impact. Just last week, Microsoft announced very exciting plans to expand its presence in Atlanta, bringing thousands of high-paying jobs to our region. Microsoft is not an exception. BlackRock is one more recent firm that has chosen Georgia for their expansion opportunity. In each of these cases, it is access to talent that seal the deal. So Georgia Tech's ability to attract, train, and retain the very best students from across the nation is a significant driver in Georgia's continued economic success. Nearly 40% of Tech's out-of-state students and the vast majority of our in-state students choose to stay at Georgia and contribute to our economy. And the success of our graduates, even those who go outside of Georgia, is a primary driver for many companies to pay attention to the work that is happening right here in Georgia. We learned recently Microsoft's second largest source of talent is Georgia Tech. It's no accident that they chose to set up shop in a big way here. Georgia Tech competes with the best universities in the nation for top talent. And every year, we succeed to bring to Georgia some of the best and brightest students who in turn help us attract some of the most competitive companies in the world. Any policy that limits our ability to compete for the best student talent and win will be harmful to our ability to create economic opportunity for all Georgians. So as I close, I would like to emphasize our commitment to providing opportunity for Georgia students, and not just inside the Atlanta perimeter. We're committed to increasing the number of students from rural Georgia, where we already draw 12% of our early action applicants, and we will continue to work to raise that number with the hope that many of those students will choose to return to their communities to create vibrant and revitalized economies. As I said last year, this committee understands that a college education, especially a Georgia Tech education, can change the trajectory of a young person's life. I am extremely grateful for this committee and the General Assembly's support of Georgia Tech's mission, and I look forward to working with each one of you in service to the people of this great state moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a question from Senator Orrick.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your excellent presentation. I'm a little biased, having a son that's a graduate of Georgia Tech. But I think something that doesn't get lifted up enough about your performance much to your credit, you have been Tech has been nationally recognized as producing some of the highest numbers of African-American engineers coming out of the hallowed halls of Georgia Tech. And I tell people that, and they're surprised, and I know that has been reflects a long-term investment in developing relationships and opening doors and bringing in young people to expose them to the treasures at Georgia Tech. So I just want to lift that up. A lot of committee members are new to this committee and may not understand that, but that's a singular accomplishment, I think, that we should all be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you very much.
Senator Beach.
Dr. Cabrera, thank you for what you do for economic development and jobs and so on with Microsoft. My question to you is, Dr. Moorhead said something about the freshman class went from 15,000, or not the freshman class, but his student population went from 15,000 to 29,000, a 94% increase to kind of keep up with the population. Have we kept up with the population at Georgia Tech, or are we landlocked and can't grow as much? Have we been able to grow our
Well, we have grown and continue to grow. We haven't grown as fast as I would like, but it is my commitment, and that's part of the strategic plan to continue to grow. This year we received a record number of applicants. Also, our graduates are getting record numbers of job offers. So there is demand on both sides. So our commitment is to continue to grow. And definitely that growth is going to open the doors to many more Georgia students.
All right, one last question, if I could. When a student applies to either Georgia or Georgia Tech for early admissions from out of state, and then they decide to go to Vanderbilt or some other school, that slot is now open again, correct? And,
Well,
how does that
not really,
work?
because so what we do is we based on the statistics from prior years, what we do is we try to predict how in-state and out-of-state students are going to decide. Remember that they have until May 1st to let us know what they're going to do.
Oh, so they got that long of a time to accept. Okay, thank you.
We're going to press pause on this testimony. The governor's floor leader, Senator Strickland, the governor, I think, is having a press conference at 2 o'clock. Senator Strickland had asked if he could go first today. I knew we had the presidents going to speak with us. I did not realize it was going to take this amount of time. I would like to call on Senator Strickland to present Senate Bill 107. We're working off of LC 490362. Senator Strickland, I would like to ask you to present that. This was the original bill that we had. We were given a substitute, but I did not have a chance to circulate it to the committee. If you would speak to the original LC number, and also you may want to touch on those highlights. I know you have a hard 2 o'clock stop, and you probably need to be there a few minutes before, so let your conscience be your guide. Health and Human Services was supposed to have this room at 2:15. It's my understanding they've been canceled, so we may run over just a few minutes, and I think we can get everything on our agenda. If you would, go ahead, Senator Strickland.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief to go ahead and present the bill to the committee, and we'll have a chance at the next committee to have an additional hearing on it. Senate Bill 107, what we're doing with this bill is setting up a way to have tuition waived for our foster children coming out of foster care, as a way to further assist these families and kids that sometimes don't get off, obviously, to the best start, in a way to kind of help bring them up and help them be more productive members of society as they get older, and assist with the financial burdens, obviously, of higher education. This bill is an idea that supported by our Lieutenant Governor, where the idea of the bill actually came from him. The substitute that he mentioned, the change that we're making, the substitute, the current draft of the bill, as you see in Section 1, provides a pathway for tuition waivers, not just for Technical College System of Georgia, but also for the University System of Georgia. In researching this, we found provision of the Constitution Article 8, Section 7, Paragraph 4, that actually reserves that authority for waiving tuition to the Board of Regents for our university system, with one exception, and that's for elderly people in our state. I'm not sure the background of where that came from, but we don't have the legal authority to direct waiver of tuition for our university system. So the substitute you'll see next time we're in committee will just have this bill apply to the Technical College System of Georgia. That said, the substitute will also have, at the very beginning, a strong policy statement that we want the Board of Regents to set up a program like this for waiver of tuition for foster kids, or kids coming out of foster care in our university system as well. So briefly on the bill itself, you'll see in section B that we lay out the criteria. Under B, actually it's under C, excuse me. Under C, we set forth the criteria for the type of student that qualifies for this. And we make sure under number 1C1 to make sure we cover children that have come out of the foster care in our state. And then further in numbers 2 through 5, we get more into the criteria of what the student has to be doing. They have to be enrolled full-time. It has to be within 3 years of them actually getting their GED or their high school diploma. They have to be in good standing. They have to be under the age of 28. And an important part of this, too, they have to also apply for other financial aid through the federal government to make sure that we exhaust all other available remedies for these children as well, or these students as well, better way of putting it. And section D, the bottom of, I'm looking at my sub, the bottom of page 3, we confirm that just because this tuition is being waived doesn't mean that they can't still take advantage of other federal aid as well. Finally, we have two other things in the bill. One, under section D of the original bill, line 60, we provide the Division of Family and Children's Services is going to advertise this program, provide counseling, and make sure that it's available to the eligible students. It'll also have a reporting obligation and also rulemaking authority when setting up the program. And lastly, on page 4, we require the Technical College System of Georgia, and actually this may just be in my sub. Yeah, the substitute you'll see too that we provide the Technical College System of Georgia shall work with the Division of Family and Children's Services to make sure there's collaboration and simplifying the process, make sure it's something that's too complicated for someone to get to take advantage of. So that's the idea of the bill. And again, I look forward to the chance to present the substitute so you guys can see that draft. And hopefully the next committee that we have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Senator Orrick?
Thank you. Appreciate you bringing the bill to us. Look forward to the next hearing. And I just don't know if you know the stats on this. The last time I saw the very startling statistic, it's been 2 or 3 years, but the kids in foster care, historically, I think only 3% get into college and move forward. It's absolutely almost zero. So it clearly calls for us to take some steps like this, and I don't know if you have any more current information, but it's a stark situation currently, is it not?
It is, and I've seen those stats. I don't have them in front of me. I can get them for the next hearing, but you're right. They really help highlight the need for a program like this.
Okay. Senator Burns.
Just a quick question, and again, I certainly applaud the bill and look forward to the discussion of the substitute. Do we have an estimate, maybe the way Senator Orrick alluded to, do we have an estimate of the number of students who might be able to take advantage of this opportunity?
That's a good question, and that gets into something I should have mentioned, and may have another answer over here. But on the fiscal note for the bill, which is required,
Right.
It's inconclusive because we don't know the exact number of the people that will take advantage of the program. You may be able to give more info on the number of children that will be eligible.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Tom Rollins, Director of the Division of Family and Children's Services. We currently have about 280, between 250 and 280 in any given year who are participating in higher education. Really, most of those are in college, in the university system, about 20% in the technical college system, about the rest in the university system, cost of about $4 million per year. So we, of course, We do have a very robust extended foster care system with about 700 and some odd young people between the ages of 18 and 21 participating in extended foster care. We also have, of course, others who may benefit from this bill as well.
Would you tell us those numbers again about the students who would be eligible, not just those who are
So we're-
achieving college age next year, but those who may be under 28 who would qualify under this bill?
So it's hard, as Senator Strickland said, it's hard to get a firm number on this, but we do know what we have participating now. We have about 750 young people currently participating in extended foster care. We also have, of course, children who have been through the foster care system. Just to give you an example, 1,400 children were adopted from the foster care system last year alone. We have about, in any given year right now, we do have these federal vouchers that pay for higher education, and we have about 250 to 280 young people participating in that. I do believe that you would see a significant increase especially if we make it clear to folks that we recognize the trauma they have been through, we recognize how they have overcome that trauma, and we are extending them the opportunity to fully participate and to get a higher education.
I do think we probably need to try to tie down the numbers and the probable numbers we'll be impacted with, and also there's a huge differential in the cost of college education throughout Georgia, so anything we can do to get a finer point on those numbers, we will electronically transfer the substitute bill as well as the audits and accounts audit on. Is the audit in the folder? If it is, I didn't.
And the last sentence talks about the money.
I would encourage you to pull that audit out of your packet if you've not read it and carry it with you. But anyway, Senator, I know you're short on time.
Thank you.
While we're trying to get the shorter pieces out of the way, I'm going to call on Senator Cowden to present LC 490394, Senate Bill 109, and then we'll come back to the testimony on Senate Bill 7. Senator Cowden.
I'm number 10 down here. Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to present Senate Bill 109. It's LC 490394. This bill is extremely simple. I shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. It's simply extending the sunset on two different provisions of Georgia law that apply mostly to the university and technical college systems. The current bills expire July 1st of this year. This extends the sunset for 5 years. The first deals with write-offs or discharge of debts, and this really allows any government department to write off a debt of $100 or less. The Board of Regents or the technical college can write off debts up to $3,000 or less. Whenever that is attempted, there must be a certification in accordance with procedures set up by those various agencies to show that the debts were uncollectible, show the attempts that have been made to collect the debts, and also to show what the cost would be if you were to consider collection efforts. These are such insignificant amounts, usually it costs you more to collect them than you're fighting over. But I think this provision keeps you from violating the gratuities clause of the Constitution, where you can't just forgive debts. It's just like giving money unless you go through these procedures. The other is the non-lapsing of revenue. That would be in Part 2, beginning at line 67. Particularly in the higher education system or technical colleges, it applies to both of them. Students may put deposits down on their tuition. They may put deposits for their room and board and different student fees, just like President Moorhead was talking about. These kids get admitted sometimes in the fall or in the winter or spring of a year. They make a deposit, but under Georgia law, the revenues would lapse at the end of our budget year. So the end of June, they would lapse even though the kids start in college in August. So this allows up to 3% of the tuitions and fees for the university system and up to 15% of tuition and fees in technical colleges to be held in the books or, in the bank for these institutions rather than lapsing and being returned to the state. It's just because of the peculiar accounting year of university system and technical college systems, it gives them a waiver to those limited amounts.
Do you have any questions, Senator Cowser? Do we have any other testimony on this bill? We don't have any other testimony. Hearing none, we appreciate it, Senator, appreciate it. And
Thank you
we'll-
very much, Mr. Chairman, and let me know if you need me back, if you want to take action on it in the future.
We'll probably take action on it at our next meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
very much.
Okay. We're back to testimony on Senate Bill 7. The next on our agenda is President Brooks Keel from Augusta University. I think President Keel is going to touch on the wide programs that are in Augusta University, and I think I had asked him specifically to talk about Medical College of Georgia. It's in Augusta University, but also talk about the university as a whole, and you'll see probably a difference in those two. President Keel.
How do I unmute? Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it very much. And members of the Committee on Higher Education, thank you for the opportunity to be with you. Please, if you would, just allow me to express our appreciation for the support that you give to higher education in general and for Augusta University specifically. We certainly understand that we cannot carry out our mission of providing an outstanding education for our students and high-quality clinical care for our patients without the hard work that this committee does and without the support from you and the General Assembly. We're grateful and we stand ready to assist you in any way. Augusta University is the result of a 2013 consolidation of the primarily undergraduate campus of Augusta State University with the primarily graduate and professional campus of Georgia Health Sciences University. We are one of only 4 public research universities in the state of Georgia. The Medical College of Georgia and the Dental College of Georgia are 2 of the 10 colleges and schools that make up Augusta University. Founded in 1828, AU has more than 9,500 students with over 1,000 full-time faculty and more than 14,000 staff. In addition to our medical and dental school missions, we're also the home of the Georgia Cyber Center and offer degrees in education, business, social sciences, arts and humanities, science and mathematics, computer cyber sciences, allied health, and nursing. We are the state of Georgia's designated health sciences medical university, and as I mentioned, the home of the Dental College of Georgia and the Medical College of Georgia. MCG is the nation's 8th largest and the 13th oldest medical school. In addition to the main campus in Augusta, MCG includes a 4-year partnership campus in Athens and satellite campuses in Albany, Rome, Brunswick, Savannah, and Atlanta. We are home to the AU Health System, the state's only public academic medical center, consisting of a 478-bed AU Medical Center, housing a 13-county regional level 1 trauma center, the 154-bed Children's Hospital of Georgia, the region's only level 4 neonatal and intensive care unit, Roosevelt Warm Springs Rehab and Specialty Hospitals, and the Georgia War Veterans Nursing Home. Mr. Chairman, we are Georgia's public medical school, and it's a role we take very, very seriously. Some years ago, the Board of Regents established a policy whereby limiting our out-of-state admissions to the Medical College of Georgia to no more than 5%, and our 5-year average for in-state residents at the Medical College of Georgia is 96%. We do have an early admit program. It is very limited. Only 7% or so on average of the students are admitted that way, and it is entirely limited to the citizens of the state of Georgia. So hope that you can see, again, we take our role very seriously of being Georgia's medical school and our role to train the sons and daughters of this great state. Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll keep my comments to limited and open things up for questions if you wish.
Have any questions from the committee?
A lot of information.
A lot of information. I appreciate it. Overall, Augusta University, could you tell us, President Keel, what the percentage of the overall population, the undergraduate at Augusta University is that are in-state Georgia residents?
Yes, sir. For this past year, the acceptance was 89% in state. Total in-state enrollment is right now at about 90%. Our freshman class for 2020 was 94% state of Georgia. We have quite a bit of capacity at the undergraduate level at Augusta University, and could clearly take as many Georgia residents as want to come. So we're pretty proud of that.
President Keel, I appreciate your presentation. It was very informative. I appreciate the service you've rendered Georgia throughout the years in your roles in the different universities throughout the state, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue working with you. Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next speaker, President Mark Becker from Georgia State University.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I do not have a lot to add. My three esteemed colleagues have all made excellent points, ones that I agree with. So I will just summarize this very quickly that the Senate Bill 7 does not solve a problem. It is not a tool that will be helpful in any way. It only risks introducing unintended consequences that could make the situation worse for some Georgians trying to attend one of our research universities. Georgia State University, with 54,000 students, has 93% of its undergraduate students are Georgians. And as President Keel said, we admit all qualified Georgians. Among early action cases, Georgians are much more likely to be admitted than non-Georgians. They're the largest applicant pool, and they are more likely to be admitted on a percentage basis as well as overall. So I will summarize this by saying that in my opinion, this bill as a tool is like giving a chef in a restaurant a chainsaw. You're giving him a tool that he can't actually use to do anything effective. Only bad things will happen, and it won't help his patrons. So we definitely concur with my colleagues that this would not be helpful in any positive way. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the committee? I want to thank everyone for participating this afternoon and your patience and staying with us. I think we have received a lot of good information that we can make to establish sound policy. I have encouraged Senator Beach to visit with the two universities that I think have the greatest impact from his bill were it to pass. University of Georgia and Georgia Tech, and would encourage those conversations to continue. Having no other business before us, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.